what does that mean? It is time to talk politics. Oh no, if it's 7:30, it's time to talk politics. If it's 12:15. I am glad to be joined by Stephen Aaron. Stephen Aaron is the chairman of the Republican Party in Gilmer County, and also Linda Clary Umberger. I am so glad to have you here.
This is my first time here. It's
Well,
very
I
exciting.
mean, I see pictures and you're at the RNC convention, and I see pictures and you just go everywhere, don't you?
I try to, but no. I
Politics
don't.
will
Yes.
travel. Is that
Exactly.
your?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I'm glad to have both of you here. Before we get started on that awesome love story, did anybody watch the love story last night? Did any of you switch to the Lifetime movie channel and watch Bill talk about reaching out and almost touching Hillary in the library?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I had an election here to take care of, so that kind of took priority over me sitting in my recliner and cringing all night.
Well, it helped you not having to stop by the drugstore and get some anti-nausea medicine to replace the last.
Yes, that's exactly.
Amen. I did watch it. I did, and we had some laughs. I had my
Some laughs?
Yes, 19-year-old son and two of his friends watching it as well, and we all had some good feedback from it, because it is amazing how the Democrats rephrase the argument, and they are genius at doing it. They really are.
I have to agree. Now, I'm not here to, some of our viewers, we don't want to, I don't want to upset people and say, how can you say that? But the reality is, Bill Clinton can go to the camera and lie to the American people and never break a face, never crack, never do nothing.
He's a master.
He can put it out
He is
there.
an absolute master.
He looked at the American people and said, I did not. He can do it. Never think twice.
Well, I mean, when I was in college, in one of my political science classes, we spent an entire week on Bill Clinton's presidency and how he was able to go to the press and basically say anything he wanted to say, and the American people would eat it up like candy.
Let me ask you a question before we go into the DNC. You were at the RNC convention. Tell us a little bit, because you have seen other conventions, other candidates, the electricity in the room, some of the differences you've seen at this RNC, and how excited did you come home from it?
I came home very excited, very fired up. Not to mention several things. This convention was very organized. The police protection, the law enforcement presence was phenomenal. To be able to thank these men and women who had come from across the country, as well as those who were part of Cleveland's PDA, were amazing. They would form basically barriers between us and the protesters to make sure we were protected coming into an entrance to the secured arena area. Every time you turned around, they were doing something. The only issue, a couple of times, police officers yelled at Uber drivers, but otherwise everything was perfect. The flow of the convention was great. It was just organized, very well done, making convention greater is what I would say. In Cleveland, my goodness, I was dreading going to Cleveland. Just not.
No, you
looking.
weren't.
Yes,
I see the pictures of you outside of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, dreading to go to Cleveland.
No,
I seen the dread on your face in those pictures.
On the way up there, and I was just so pleasantly taken back and just fell in love with Cleveland. The architecture, the people, everything, the venues, everything about it. It was just great.
It's the DNC, there's been times in the past with other Republican candidates, and I'll speak for myself, that the contrast between the two parties were not as clear. But this is a very clear contrast between two parties and between two directions. This is as clear as I've seen it in years. And let me say, I want you to pick up on this, because I want to ask you a question here. Now, you called in while you were in Cleveland and you spoke to me, and you said you guys were all in a line getting ready to get in. And about that time, a whole lot of Cleveland police officers passed by, and everybody broke into applause, right?
And that was repeated.
And repeated throughout the week.
Yes.
Are you amazed? Now, I know you didn't watch it, and I know you can talk about me, you can go out and make fun of me, but I actually watched from 5 p.m. to 11:30. Yes, I'm set at 5, and I take 4 pages of notes. Now that okay. Are you amazed 2 nights in a row that not one speaker came to the stage and said, first, we would like to thank the Philadelphia Police Department for our safety and what a great job you've done. Are you amazed with that?
No, because anymore the Democratic Party has shown that they are only fans of the authority that they can control. And when they can't control individual police departments from a federal level, they're not going to support them. Because you see, everything in the Democratic Party, everything in their new platform is all about centralization and federalization. And with those steps in the direction of the Democratic Party, it is no longer a stretch to say that the Democratic Party is essentially the American Socialist Party.
Well, we don't need to, Bill Clinton is not confused with the old saying, let your conscience be your guide. That's just not something that concerns him at all. In watching that speech, were you thinking, because you keep up, like, as Bill was going through and telling this nauseating love story, were you thinking, Bill, didn't you forget this? And didn't you forget that? What were you thinking? And I want to send that to you as a woman. I want to directly send that to you as a woman. What were you thinking last night as he was telling the love story?
I was thinking he's a master at it, and he's someone to learn from, because people like hearing a story, and Republicans are not good at telling a story, because we do get caught up in, reality, and we have ISIS, and we have some things that need to be fixed and redirected very seriously after 7 years of President Obama and his many executive orders. But I just was taken in by, he is telling a story. He is doing what he has always done, which is communicating with the heart, with people's soul. And sometimes we as Republicans forget that intimate connection that is needed. As a woman, I am grieved, because I do look forward to the day where a woman is president, but I have very strong issues with a woman who has basically ridden her husband's coattails to be in that position. Hillary, I completely disagree with her policies, but I do admire her as a woman, as someone who has persevered, who has pushed, who has continued, but I cannot accept that, given she continues to lie, she continues to not be held accountable for what most of us, if either of us had done any 1/4 of the things she had done, would definitely be sitting in a jail cell.
Well, exactly, and I think if thinking as if a woman is sitting there, I'm thinking you listen to this whole thing. One, there's no love affair, and two, you say, well, you dog. I mean, why do these 14 other women keep coming out and saying that you tried to touch them in the library?
That's well said. Well said, yes.
I mean,
but don't you think it?
Bill could give that speech about a dozen women and just change the name.
But I mean, if you go back and look at some of the stories that came out in the 90s about the Clintons, or even before then, there were former members of Secret Service that have said that that the Secret Service actually had to teach the Clintons at the beginning of their presidency to behave like a couple, because essentially, even though they're married, they aren't really, they're just in it for the political situation.
They have formed some sort of partnership.
Exactly.
That is, you got to admire it. I mean, they're
Here's
together.
what I'm going to say, and we're going to move on to the love story for a minute, because I want to ask you a different question. As I was listening to him spin the story in, he had to pursue her. Okay, 5 times, whatever. And it wasn't until she said, I like that little house. And she was gone. And I just thought, what would be so great but to just buy that little house while she was gone. And I said, Hillary, that house you liked?
I got it.
I bought it for you. Remember that? You know what I'm thinking? Hillary looked and said, you know what? She called one of her friends and she said, I finally found the idiot that I can tag myself to and get where I want to go. You agree?
Oh, I completely agree,
Because she's always had a plan.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I think that Netflix series House of Cards is sort of based off of the
Frank and
Clintons.
Claire.
Exactly.
Frank and Claire. They got a deal. Frank and
Exactly.
Claire have a deal, right?
Yeah.
Let's not go there. We'll do it. You want to come and do a segment on that? We will. Okay. I promise. I will do that. Frank and Claire. Oh yeah.
I wouldn't
See, I
say that
actually
they're-
like his
it's-
cufflinks or FU.
Yeah.
Sorry, let's not go there. I'm sorry, folks. I didn't say that's his name, Frank Underwood. Did
It's
I
great. Yes, you did go there, and that's okay. That's just reality.
true.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, here's what I want to ask you. You said stuff from the 90s. I'm not going to ask your age. You're about 2 or 3 years younger than me. Anyhow,
Only 2 or 3?
yeah, I'm 29. Okay, anyhow, that being said, your age, and this is important because I want to hear from you, Stephen, because I have told people say, nobody is going to care about the 90s. It's over. But what I tell people is your generation, well, when the 90s was here, we didn't have Google. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have all this. So we did have ways to look at stuff, but not in your face. I think your generation will look at it because it's obtainable and it's easy to get to, and it's not very boring. It's interesting.
Well, let me put it to you this way.
Tell me what you think.
With people my age, specifically millennials, you run into the situation where the entire mindset of our generation has sort of been formed around the economic recession that we had in the middle 2000s. And so you have a lot of people that are under the age of 30 and even just over the age of 30 asking, why did we have to endure this hardship? And there's a lot of people that are willing to do the research online as to how the economic policies of the 90s directly led into the recession of the mid-2000s. And time again, if you just look at the way policy was structured when the Democrats controlled Congress and at the beginning of Bush's presidency, on things that Bill Clinton pushed for when he was president after the resignation of Newt Gingrich from being Speaker of the House, it's fairly evident to see that every issue in this country economically has been perpetuated by the Democratic Party, and they made it even worse when they took over in 2004 and got a supermajority in Congress. And so, I mean, you do have a lot of millennials doing that, but you also have a lot of millennials, especially on the younger end of the generation, that don't care as much because they only spent 1 or 2 years in the 90s. Those of us that had a little bit more time in the 90s and were conscious do care because we know that we've been down this road before and we want to see where it's going.
I think, go ahead. What say you? You were going to say something.
Well, no, I agree with you. My concern is that people aren't going to do the research, and that we're talking about sound bites. We're talking about nothing more than marketing, because voters, those of us who are engaged have a different perspective. But when you look at the average voter, there's a very short attention span, and therefore the ability to, however you can hit it from a marketing perspective and just little sound bites, which is Bill Clinton so crystallized of, oh, the Republicans had this caricature of my wife, which is just not true. So let's go with the real Hillary, which the three of us know is not the real Hillary, but because of the way he's phrasing it, it goes back to that old science experiment. You put a group of people in a room and a bird flies in, and everyone but one person is told that the bird is black, but one person and the bird is in fact white. And it has to do with peer pressure and how you're staging a whole argument. And that is my greatest concern, is that the Democrats have proven over and over and over again they have phrased the argument, and it's all about lies and this false perception that we really care about you and our policies are making a difference, when in fact those very policies are what are sending people to be dependent upon the government and not be self-reliant. And we're back on the plantation that we were.
But you see, it's up to the RNC and the Trump campaign now that everything with the primaries is said and done and we have our nominee. It's their job to have people that delve into history find the video footage from the Clintons from 92 onward, heck, even going back into the 80s and the 70s, and, you know, showing what their true character is. Because there's plenty of evidence out there as to what Bill and Hillary's true character is. The Republican Party just needs to publicize it.
Well, no, I want to say this, not to interrupt you, but I think we have to do our work in getting out and educating people or informing. Some people don't like to be educated, they like to be informed. So we got to get out and inform people. So for example, last night, fresh off the presses, I wanted to see just how many people think that Bill Clinton was convincing. And I played the 26-second clip in the first half hour of my show of him looking at the American people and saying, I did not have sexual relations, because that's only 26 seconds, and that's really quick, lets you know he will lie to you. So that's what we have to do, and I think you're right about that. We have to dig those things up.
And you know, part of the problem with the Republican Party right now is that, and especially in the last presidential election, is we've been too nice. We have tried to be honorable against an unhonorable enemy. And,
thank you. I
and,
want to say thank you, finally. That's exactly right.
And I honestly think it's time for us to get our guns out. Not literally speaking, of course, but we need to suit up.
Not right now. I really haven't done it.
But no, it's time for us to show that we stand by our principles and go to town on the Democrats and their policies, not try and play it nice anymore. Because it's evident that us playing it nice and trying to do the honorable thing and run clean campaigns against Democrats isn't going to work anymore.
5 hours, from 5 o'clock to 11:30.
It's a long time.
Yesterday, not yesterday, was the day before yesterday, So ISIS has glorified it. They have glorified it. They have taken responsibility for it, and they claim to be the ones responsible, and walked in and slit a priest's throat. People walked in to the church and slit his throat. My understanding is they videoed it too or something,
Yes,
right?
they did.
These people last night
Talked about love, and they talked about feeling good. And when Alicia Keys stood up and said that she could not sing Home of the Brave or consider us Home of the Brave until we dealt with gun control. And I keep seeing these knife attacks and the truck in Nice and the damage and the lives that it took, that it goes back to, it's not a gun issue. It is a heart issue, and it is a fixing the terrorist problem. And here again, it goes back to the argument. I think it is so crystal clear. Yeah, we as a country want to love each other. We need to be concerned about every single one of us instead of just a certain group of us. Everyone is important. That comment that Romney made back in 2012 that they uncovered, where he said he wasn't concerned about the percentage, but just the other percent. Those are the things that we as Republicans are not about. We're concerned about 100%. But safety issues, for them, the Democrats, not to understand that it is not an issue of gun rights and taking guns off the street. Because here again, this interesting conversation, I took my Glock to Cleveland, and I have my little concealed carry permit. We have a reciprocal relationship in Ohio. But everything was so limited, and I didn't want to leave it in the car. So I talked to the police officer at our hotel. She took me to the police station, and I locked it up there. But in our discussions, I asked her what her thoughts were about gun control in Ohio, especially Cleveland, high crime rate relatively. And here again, she said, you know, stricter gun laws don't solve the problem, because people who want to get guns will always find a way to get them, and we don't fix the problem. And when you look at ISIS attacking, and like Great Britain indicating that they are expecting more attacks and that people are...
They're saying Washington, D.C. is next. They're putting stuff out. Walked in and slit the priest's throat. Slit his throat. And in two nights, ISIS was said twice. Last night, Howard Dean, before he went into his screaming rant to where we're going next. Next is Florida. You know, yeah, he did the scream. Howard Dean did the scream. But he said, we need a president that knows what it takes to destroy ISIS. I'm going to follow up on that. And I think Terry McAuliffe said it too.
And we do.
But that's it. 2 times in 2
Only
nights.
ISIS reference.
In 2 nights, only ISIS reference at all. And I'm going to follow it up in a minute. We're going to take a quick break because when we come back, I want to hear Mike Pence, what you thought of that pick. And I want to hear that and what you think about Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren selling out royally. Folks, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. As you guessed, we're talking politics. I'm here with Stephen Aaron and Linda Clary Umberger, and we'll be back after these messages. Lonnie, take us to break.
While the best athletes gather to compete, the rest of us gather to eat. Pizza Hut's Big Flavor Dipper is here. Almost 2 feet of pizza with 4 flavorful dipping sauces. Big enough to feed the whole team for a small price, just $12.99. The Big Flavor Dipper Pizza, only at Pizza Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East LJ. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
The 50-50 sale is back at Schottenkirk Ford. 50 trucks must go in the next 50 hours. Shop over 250 trucks in stock and starting as low as $79.95. And there's several more on the lot just like it. Yes, 50 trucks must go. And not just Fords. We have all the best makes and models. You have 50 hours to cash in on huge savings. Don't miss our 50-50 sales event at Schottenkirk Ford in Jasper. Online at SchottenkirkFordJasper.com.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Introducing Pizza Hut's first $5 flavor menu. Just $5 each when you order 2 or more. Say yes to a medium 1-topping pizza. Yes to Wing Street Wings. Yes to new stuffed garlic knots. And much more. It's easy to say yes to our first ever $5 flavor menu. Only at Pizza Hut.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Better days The summer sell down is on at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. And if you like to save, the time is now. Get a brand new Chevy Malibu for just $19,700. Loaded Silverado Crew Cab LT, just $33,500. Or a new 2017 Equinox from just $23,700. Days has bonus savings on every new Chevy. But time is running out. Don't miss the summer sell down at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. North Georgia's only live online morning show. I'm here with Linda Clary Umberger and Stephen Aaron. Now, I will tell you, this is how strange I am.
Yes, how strange are you?
Thank you. My God.
How strange are you?
Thank you. I watched the whole thing, and I take all these notes, and I noticed twice 2 speakers last night forgot the cue. They only went LGBT. Queers are upset this morning.
You know, it's questioning. It's not queer.
It's both. I read articles. It's both.
Questioning.
It's both.
Okay.
But no, 2. Even Bill forgot the cue. I didn't know what the cue was. I had to look it up. It just came up last couple of weeks.
From what I've heard, it depends on what you ask, but
yeah. So they forgot the cue. That's a big deal. Now, that would be a big deal over at the Republican side. They forgot the cue as long as it's LGBT.
Well, I mean, heck, they gave Trump a hard time for saying it slowly.
Well, I will tell you this: the first time I heard it, I mean, I understand.
The media or who?
The media.
Yeah,
the first,
media.
I'd gotten used to the LGBT. And the first time I heard Q was at the Republican convention, and I thought they loaded it wrong in the teleprompter. And I'm thinking he had a Ron Burgundy moment, and so it's like somebody said, "Let's throw a Q in there." I'm serious. I didn't know.
LGBTQIA.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yes.
Mike Pence. A lot of Republicans are the conservative side of the party that were strong with Ted Cruz, felt, you know what, Trump's talking conservative, makes some conservative comments, but we know his background, and it doesn't shine as a conservative. He's a liberal New Yorker. Those are the things we heard. We need something that just validates and stamps that you're really listening. Was Mike Pence that to you?
I think so. I know the reality is no choice would have satisfied everyone. I keep hearing people wanted Newt Gingrich, and I can see how Newt Gingrich would have been a powerhouse. And the fact that Newt got up there after Ted Cruz spoke and hit a home run and brought it all together proved what a great VP candidate he would have been. I'm hoping that he will be in the cabinet for sure.
He will. He's consigliere.
Yes.
Oh,
but
he is. He's going to be chief. Yeah, he is.
Some people are happy. Some people are not. You just can't make everybody happy.
What do you think about the Pence pick, and what did it do?
I'm probably going to have a little bit of a different opinion.
No.
I think that there would have been some, with the division in the party right now between Trump and Cruz supporters, I think that there would have been someone better to have been picked that didn't have the political baggage that Mike Pence has. Because now that Trump has chosen Pence, when they're attacking him, they're going to focus on the issues that the religious freedom legislation in Indiana had last year. And that's going to be a really big hit point for a lot of independents to try and scare them away from a Trump-Pence ticket. Because they're already saying that Republicans are fascist.
Right.
And all it's doing is giving the left ammunition. Now, I'm going to say that no VP choice is going to be perfect, but I think that it's possible that Trump didn't completely think this one through, because he could have, honestly, a good pick for him that would have made a lot of inroads with conservatives, but also with Hispanics, is if he would have picked Susana Martinez. She's a conservative, she's a religious individual, and she would make inroads with the Hispanic community, but he chose Mike Pence.
Well, I'm going to say this on the Mike Pence pick, and I have to agree with you, but I think he sent the best olive branch to the conservative side, to the Ted Cruz side, that said, hey, here's a guy that endorsed Ted Cruz. Here's a guy that parallels a lot of what Cruz says, constitutionalist, fiscal conservative. He parallels a lot of what Cruz says. So if you're out there and you supported Ted Cruz and you want me to prove I'm going to stay conservative, keep my word, conservative judges, so on and so forth, this is the guy. And it's like, I guess the only guy that didn't take to it was Ted Cruz. I think he's the only guy that didn't say, you know what you did. And now here's the total contrast. I talked earlier about contrast. Hillary does the opposite. Hillary takes the number 2 guy, which Cruz was number 2 over here. She takes the number 2 guy, Bernie, and instead of not picking Bernie, but picking somebody in that vein to say to that side of the party that came out, look, I'm going to stay, progressive. I'm going to stay after the big bank, Wall Street. She goes Tim Kaine. Totally different. So I think Pence was a good pick. I'm okay with Pence. Although she is a woman, we have 4 very white people running.
Yes.
Very white.
Well,
and you know what they say? You
What?
can't trust Whitey.
Oh.
Did I say that out loud, Lonnie?
You did say that out loud.
That's okay.
But I do think
That's okay. That's what they say. Bill, I mean, we can't trust Bill. That's what I meant, really.
You look at Mike Pence, though, and he was considering a run for the presidency this cycle. But he and Ted Cruz used the same pollster. He decided not to run. And I have good friends who have worked in the Pentagon, worked in the White House, who are in a very tight-knit accountability group with the Pences. And their message was, Linda, God's hand is totally on that family, and we stand in awe over it. And while I may not agree with every stand or issue with Governor Pence, I think he has enough in his quiver of saying he's done a great job in Indiana on economic policies. Yes, RFRA was an issue for Indiana. There was a little bit of back and forth, and it does seem to get people in trouble when they don't, regardless of their stand, stick to their stand and not deviate. That's when people seem to get in trouble on the Republican side, when they start wavering, questioning, or deviating. So it's like, get on whatever horse you're on, ride that horse through, and do it out of sincere conviction. But also, when you look at the contrast, Mike Pence is godly man, amazing family. They even homeschooled for a while. Wife is very involved, and it's sort of that all-American wholesome farm contrast to Donald Trump, who's been married 3 times with this, as you pointed out, New York type family jet setting. So it kind of brings everybody together, even though here again I struggle because it is the over 55, shall we say, white men.
No, it's a very white ticket, and I say that to people. Facts are facts. It's a very white ticket. And then when everybody talked about Newt Gingrich, I said, no, America doesn't want to vote for 2 white guys, 2 white guys. And I love Newt. Newt's a great guy, but every day, if he had to pick Newt Gingrich or Chris Christie, they'd have been coming out every day trying to explain what they were saying. They won't do that with Pence. Let me ask you a question. Don't you think with what she said about Mike Pence, that he's solid enough personally with his family, his children, that he would have told Trump, I'll pass, if he would not have seen in Donald Trump? Now, here's something I'm going to say. Everybody, from Dr. James Dobson, from religious leaders, from people that have actually went and spent time with him, 24 hours, come out and say, these are good people. This is a good family. Do you not think if Pence would not have seen this, that he'd have been man enough to say, I think I'll pass? What do you think?
I think that if that had been the case, that Pence would have passed. And, if Pence didn't bring more to the table than he took away, I think he would have passed as well. I mean, I'm just concerned about the baggage that he does have. But I do think that choosing Mike Pence does definitely make the ticket stronger, because it's like Linda was saying, you've got this contrast between sort of the quintessential city guy with someone that's from a more rural area of the country, and it can bring the entire country together.
And it prevents all those evangelicals who stayed home in 2012 because they could not vote for a Mormon. It hopefully brings them back in to show up.
That's true, because I was here in the Republican Party, right up here at the courthouse, when a gentleman, blonde-haired guy from downtown Atlanta, or with the RNC, I forget his name, and he came up here and gave us, I called it the Kumbaya speech after the last election. He said, look, 5 million stayed home. How many times have you guys been at Republican events where you heard the 5 million stayed home last time speech, right? And we knew from day one, well, now we have a candidate that is brought more people to the ballot box, brought more voters in, new Republican voters, almost everything that they've been asking for. I gotta say real quick, because I don't want to run out of time. What do you think about Hillary Clinton picking Tim Kaine? And let's pass that. What do you think about Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren selling out? Both of you. What do you think?
Well, if you really want to know how I feel on the situation, you can always go and look at my Twitter feed, which was...
I follow you on Facebook during the convention.
Yeah.
I watch your Facebook. I got the convention
New status is about
split
every 30 seconds.
Yet I hear, well, I have to take a quick break and run to get something out of the fridge to settle my stomach. Yeah, I read all those. So now let's get... Yeah, I read all those, Stephen.
But no, I mean, you've got... You do have Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, who are essentially cut from the same cloth. And with Elizabeth Warren being a professor, I had a couple professors that are essentially of a similar mindset to her in college. And to me, they are betraying their voting base by endorsing Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton doesn't really have a moral code. She doesn't have a moral foundation. She doesn't have a reason for believing what she wants to believe. She just says whatever she needs to say to get elected, and then does whatever she wants when she's in office. So, I mean, to me, I think that both Sanders and Warren are going to face some backlash when they're up for re-election next time because of that. And there's a lot of people on the far left that are really, really upset with both of them.
They're upset. I agree. What do you think about them selling out?
I don't think they sold out in the sense that we are asking the same of the Ted Cruz supporters. We all agree we have a two-party system. Yes, we have different orbits, a third-party independent. But at the end of the day, everyone who signed up to support a Democrat and support someone who's wearing that label, as well as on the Republican side, we are saying you have to get on the page of the candidate whether you like it or not. So I don't view it as being a sellout. I'm hoping that some Bernie supporters will join the Trump team and will support. But I'm just saying we're asking the same of the Cruz people that the Democrats are asking.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Fine.
Not quite the same. Because the one thing I do like about Republicans is we are, oh God, I said that out loud. One thing I do like about Republicans is, I'm not a party guy, but the one thing I do like is we're allowed to talk.
Yes.
We're allowed to have a thought. We're allowed to have an opinion.
We're allowed to be individuals.
Thank you, exactly, right? And that, but that being said, we do have, the three of us today, I disagreed with that. Politely, though. I hope it was polite. But I disagree with that. But at the end of the day, we have a general direction. Would you agree?
Yes.
The Democrats, when I say Bernie sold out, Hillary does not, and Tim Kaine, have a direction on Wall Street. They do not. They do not have a direction on big banks. They do not. They do not have a direction on the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade agreement. They do not. Period.
Well, if I remember correctly, when the TPP first came out, that Hillary was pretty in favor of it.
McAuliffe came out yesterday and told Politico that was just a shadow for now. So what I'm going to say is the Cruz supporters are going to, with Mike Pence and Donald Trump, get that general direction that we all try to come to.
Well, there are plenty of Republicans
and
Cruz supporters who I saw at convention who are not on board with Donald Trump and Mike Pence yet. There is a significant percentage.
But don't we
you
have
are.
that common enemy with Hillary?
It's still not enough to bring them over yet. They're
That
still not
is
there.
scary. That is a scary comment.
who do you
I
watch?
don't disagree with you. I know you were there. You've seen it right in person. That's a scary comment. Go ahead.
Who do you watch the convention through? With
C-SPAN.
Okay.
Period.
Now-
I will not watch any of the networks
Smart.
because my goal, my thing is I do not want them to tell me what I just saw.
Now, you
I
see
watch
with
all
the-
the RNC, C-SPAN, DNC, C-SPAN.
Okay, I watch C-SPAN as well just because I don't like the commentary and the breaks and.
Well, they play music between the speakers, and then you see goofy white people try to dance.
But
They don't show that on the other networks. I'm
I think
serious.
they
I'm
did.
serious.
I
I've seen
think-
the delegates go
I
like
do
that.
believe
I think
a
one was you. I said C-SPAN.
No, I
Go ahead.
wasn't dancing.
But no, the point that I'm trying to make here is, I watched the entire RNC on C-SPAN.
Right.
I watched the first night of the DNC on C-SPAN. I didn't watch it last night.
You were
Yeah, because I was
election.
dealing with election stuff. But every night that I have watched, they have a separate line for Republicans, they have a separate line for Democrats, and they have a separate line for independents. And every night, the overwhelming majority of calls on the Democratic side have been Sanders supporters that are putting their support behind Donald Trump because
That is so good to hear.
and they have outright said it. They are putting their support behind Donald Trump because Bernie Sanders sold out.
He did.
Well, what is the
and they
man
have said
supposed
that.
to do if he's wearing a Democratic label? And I agree.
Wait a
it's-
minute. Hold on there. Reel
You
that
signed-
back in.
Yes,
you
we
sign
have-
a pledge. Oh, I know you're not going to
Well,
go there.
Wasserman
I know
Schultz
we're not
and
going to talk
her-
about the pledge. Ted
And
Cruz
the
signed a
emails.
pledge.
Yes, and I think it's appalling. I think if you sign a pledge, you have to live by your
Let's
word.
say this.
Yes.
Bernie Sanders had the guts. He was at the DNC. But I'm going to call it guts on my own, but it's not in support of him. But he had the guts to say the DNC had left him. We got to remember, Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat senator. He's an independent, right?
Yes, but he
Correct.
signed
Right.
up and he
I understand that's the only
qualified
way you
for-
could
yes.
run.
So
Right.
you have
So
to
when you
play
say what
the
else,
game.
what else are you going
play
to
a
do?
game.
What else are you going to do? You get up there and you get real with people and you say, look, this is a rigged system and this is the reason I ran as an independent, but I caucused with the Democrats. You tell people.
Yes, but what does that tell us about Bernie Sanders? He said over and over and over again that Hillary was the one because it would continue the Obama administration and what they were trying to do with the change in America. And
Look, I'm just going to throw this out there. I
Throw it
honestly
out.
don't think that Bernie Sanders is smart enough to even figure out what kind of person he is, because he can't even pick up an economics book to determine if his economic policies can have a dent or even do anything right.
But he
has no
does-
knowledge to back up the positions that he states.
All right, a couple quick ones. You know, it's like rapid fire
Fire.
now. It's time to rapid fire. Did they do an effective job yet last night reintroducing Hillary to the American people?
tragically, yes, it was genius. It was brilliant, and it's disgusting. But they did it.
You
They
think
did it.
You know what I think it is? I think it's like she's a car wreck. And I think it's like a commercial. Uh-oh, better get Mako. And they did a $199 paint job on her, but remember, it was only a $199 paint job, so it won't last.
So that thing's
You
gonna
like
flake-
that? Write that down.
It's going to
That's
flake
mine.
off in about
Write
a
that
month.
down. Don't steal that and
I'm
post that this
stealing it.
afternoon.
I'm stealing it.
What do you think? Well, you didn't watch last night because you were over at Gilmer County. As the chairman, you have to be present at the elections for validating the elections. Okay. Second, you didn't see it. What did you think about them bringing out the ladies of the Michael Brown and Trayvon? Did that bother you? That bothered me. That really, really bothered me because in 2 nights, not one thank you to the Philadelphia police.
Correct. But do you not think that's the whole point? They were building on connecting with people's feelings. That is the concern.
Yeah,
It's
I know
we're
what you're doing.
connecting
I know what
with
you're
an
doing.
emotion, not with reality. That therein lies the problem.
Connecting with an
Democrats,
emotion,
not
reality.
with reality. And
You're right.
emotions are real,
You're
but
right.
that doesn't change that ISIS is at our door coming to take in. We have failed economic policies. And even though Bernie correctly identified crony capitalism, all these issues, his solutions, we've proven historically do not work. But try telling that to the average voter who's going to vote potentially based on an emotion, and that's what we are up against. And
Well, you know
correct.
what? It caught me off guard because they brought the ladies out, Michael Brown's mom, Trayvon Martin's mom, and I didn't recognize them at first. I think if Michael Brown's mom, if they'd have brought her out, I think I would have recognized her if they would have put her on the top of a cop car with a bullhorn and she was screaming, "Burn this MFer down." I might have recognized it was her at first, but I'm serious. Because here's what they did. They put them all in dresses. I'm not being, they put them all in dresses, makeup, fixed their hair. I mean, they weren't wearing their, bandanas and screaming, "Burn this down." And I think we all seen all those signs in Ferguson. And they were probably, and this is mean, but that's me, okay? I'm going to just be mean here. They probably went through and picked out the ones that could speak would be the ones that actually could complete a sentence without saying the F word. So they probably gave them a test and see which ones could say a sentence without, and those are the ones they let speak. I'm serious as can be. I've heard, I'm serious.
I'm
It
sure they
disgusted
said
me
don't
that
use these words.
Yes, but but Linda, I that angered me. That angered me because 2 nights, not one. I'm not going to. I don't get nervous. But 2 nights, not one reference. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, and the thing
You're
about
not sitting in the middle no more, are you?
the thing about this is that the Democrats and the media have criticized Trump and the Republicans last week for being too dark, for having such a grim outlook on the world, when members of the Democratic Party and especially their leadership have sought to divide this country in such a way on racial lines, between police and citizens, consumers versus farmers, you name it. They have found ways to divide this country. And now they're all saying, come into the Democratic Party, it's all sunshines and rainbows, and none of this bad stuff is actually going on. It's all an illusion. Things aren't nearly as bad.
We can just love each other and everything's going to be okay.
That's
what I got.
You're right. He said illusion, and you're right.
But here's the problem.
We got to look at the reality of what they were trying to paint.
Yes, but look at your voting demographics, and this is what is a concern of mine. Voting demographics. Majority of voters in this country are women. And, women and men, I'm all about equal rights, and everybody is equal and capable of doing different things. We need more women in politics. We bring creative solutions more often than men do. We can come to the table and typically leave ego behind, but we also tend to operate out of emotions. That's not good, that's not bad, but if you are trying to win a presidential campaign, somewhere in here, you've got to start appealing and connecting with the majority of voters, which happen to be women. And also, millennials are the majority voting bloc. I was told that if Bernie had gotten the nomination, Bernie would beat Trump because of the demographics, with the millennials representing the greatest voter bloc right now.
Can I ask you a question on student debt? And you are going to be back tomorrow. We'll talk about this and think about this. On student debt, why did that resonate so much with millennials, but national debt does not? Is it because you just can't feel it because you're not getting a bill? I think if we all got a bill every month that said, like you get your Visa card,
yes.
You get your Visa card bill, you get this. If you got a national debt bill, immediately we'd be looking for the politician to solve it, right?
Exactly. And,
I think I'll do that. I'll introduce that. I've had a couple good ideas today. If you watch every day, I got some more.
But
but if you got that in the mail, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It does go back to that. It directs me. It affects me personally. Issue, and we as millennials get a lot of flack for being selfish and self-centered. But with everything that has gone on in the world in the last 20 years, I can't exactly say that that's a negative thing, because for the most part, millennials tend to be more individualistic than previous generations. They're less collectivist. And to me, that individualism is a good thing, but at times it can be a little bit misdirected. And I've got $20,000 in student loans myself, but I'm not out there begging for them to be forgiven, because I knew when I accepted the financial aid money and I accepted those student loans what I was getting into. I knew that that those loans were making an investment in my future, and I would be able to get a good job with the degree that I got.
You want the opportunity, as most of us do and most Americans do, to actually earn our own way.
Exactly.
We don't want to live on that democratic plantation and have the government take care of us. Anybody wants the self-reliance of doing it themselves. And right now we don't have an economy where everyone can do that, because the Democrats have perpetuated this concept of, oh no, we'll take care of you. That whole concept of Julia, the woman from 2012, is just nauseating, because it's the continual thing of the government taking care of you. And it's like, well, where are her friends? Where are her children? Where's her family? Well, they don't exist. Oh, because it's Big Brother, the government, as the quote-unquote plantation owner taking care of everything. That is just so nauseating.
And Elizabeth Warren really said as much on Monday night about how it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to take care of people. And, it's just that general concept of it requiring everyone to solve everyone else's problems that really gets to me. I mean, I was the first person in my family to get a college degree. And to me, that was a pretty big accomplishment. It put a lot of pressure on me to make sure that I did well in school and, made sure that I made it through, whether it was financially or grade-wise. A lot of people don't have that pressure because, especially ones that have a little bit higher socioeconomic status, because the financial aspect isn't an issue for them as much. They just get the student loans to take trips to Ibiza and everywhere else.
Okay, we got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes exactly, and we got to wrap up. So first of all, do you think the Republican Party the convention was dark?
No, I honestly don't think that the convention was dark. I think that the convention was realistic.
Realistic. Got to stay there. What do you think? Do you think the convention was dark or?
Not at all. It was exciting. It was inspiring. Great. Because
that's
speeches.
The word, dark.
Well, of course, because the media, over and over again, you listen to the media outlets and you're like, are we at the same place? I don't think so. And I do want to give you your Trump-Pence sticker from the convention. So
you brought this to me?
Yes,
Trump,
I did.
Pence.
Yes.
I might put it on a computer. Okay, quick. I don't think it was dark. The DNC keeps saying that it was dark.
Of course.
And they say they're the party of solutions. Last I looked, you have to identify a problem before you can have a solution. So that's what I think, right?
Well
they
said.
Can't even identify their own problems.
You have to identify a problem. I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you because, you hit a home run on some things that I could not do this morning. And you're right. They're going for the emotion of it. I see them bringing, nothing wrong with this, but a lot of their presenters they're using people with disabilities intentionally. It's emotional, women, celebrities, and they even closed out last night with, I am a superwoman. I am BKP, your host. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. I've had Stephen Aaron here with me this morning and Linda Clary Umberger. And guess what? We've been talking some politics. And guess what? Better get Mako. That's what they did to Hillary Clinton last night. Don't forget, Scott Farrell show. Stay tuned, 10 o'clock. Scott Farrell right here. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Farrell, what'd I say? Scott Farrell. I'm sorry, Scott. He's a nice guy.